Gio, welcome back. It's another beautiful day here in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. It's very warm, but it's also breezy and overcast, so it's like perfect. Good temperature, but not broiling hot. No risk of getting a sunburn today. So I'm walking in the direction of Rio Vermelho, one of my favorite directions to go in for my daily long walk. Oh boy, this month, December, and next month, January, are going to be very, very tight financially. All the chickens are coming to roost, home to roost, so to speak. After I just finished paying off all of my bills, my rent, my credit cards, etc. And I'm left with a grand total of absolutely nothing. Yes, that's right. Zero. Now, fortunately, I have credit cards. I have 2 Brazilian credit cards, which are a lifesaver. They're going to keep me fed for the rest of the month. But I can't buy anything other than food, which is fine because I have everything I need and want. Apartment is fully furnished now. I have all my knickknacks, etc. Credit cards are paid off for the month, so I'm fine. But the issue is that I'm still paying off all of the things I had to buy when I moved into this apartment in mid-August. As I mentioned before, I had been living in a small city about 4 hours from Salvador, but just could not wait to get back into Salvador, and made the jump in mid-August, and I'm thrilled to be back here. But I rented an apartment, which is common here, completely empty. Not even a refrigerator or stove like you would get in a rental apartment in the United States. Here the apartments are totally empty, so I had to buy everything from scratch. Refrigerators. So in February, I'll have a lot more fôlego financeiro, financial breathing room. There's one expense I really wish I could get rid of, and that's the Ozempic I take, the medication, which I take for diabetes. And supposedly, from what I'm reading in the news, it's going generic next year, 2026, here in Brazil. And the price should come way, way down. So hopefully that really does happen. Brazil's good about making expensive meds into inexpensive generics. So that'll be a big relief too. Then in February, once most of my credit card debt is paid off, I need to concentrate on the next big ticket item, which is fixing my teeth. Oh my God. When I moved here permanently 4 years ago, my teeth were fine, no problems. Now they're in terrible shape, and my understanding for the reason of that is the medication I just mentioned, Ozempic. Yep, Ozempic is great for diabetes. It's also great for weight loss as a secondary effect of taking Ozempic. I never knew this before. I had never heard of Ozempic, but I started taking it. It was prescribed to me by the doctor for diabetes, and I started shedding all sorts of weight. I lost lots of weight, which means I look great, but there's a side effect, not a common one, so I'm not discouraging anybody from taking it, but there is a less than common side effect, is that it affects your teeth. You can lose teeth, which makes sense to me. You lose body mass, you lose muscle mass. I've definitely lost muscle besides losing just plain old fat. My muscles have shrunk, so it makes sense you might lose some tissue mass too, and that's what the gums are, tissue. And boy, my teeth are falling out left and right. And it's quite alarming and jarring. I've lost quite a few teeth on my bottom teeth, and my upper teeth are becoming loose now. I've got one front tooth, which is what my parents' generation called a cap. It's a wraparound veneer. It's dropping down. So I look kind of a scraggly tooth, and I'm not liking it at all. Thank God I'm 71. I don't really care that much about appearance anymore. My vanity index has dropped considerably. But still, I like to look presentable, especially here in Brazil, which is a very looks conscious country. So in February, I need to find a decent dentist, a good dentist, and get some major dental work done. I think it's going to be in the form of, what are they called? Implants, a type of implants. Not individual, all of my teeth being switched out for implants, but what is it called? It's where you get you got to get these teeth screwed in. You get four, I believe there are 4 screws, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom, and you know, it's certainly an improvement over dentures. They're permanently fixed in there. You can't remove them. I really do not want dentures. Now that would be a huge step down. I remember my grandparents had dentures. You know, their generation, you got to a certain age, you went to the dentist and you got your teeth removed, you got dentures put in. But, you know, that was my grandparents who were born in the late 19th century. This is the 21st century now. So that's my next big expense come February. Now, of course, here in Brazil, dental work is much, much less expensive than it would be in the United States, especially in California, especially in San Francisco, where I'm from. It would be prohibitively expensive for me. Tens of thousands of dollars. But here, I think I can get it done for about, I'm just off the top of my head from what I've seen on the internet, maybe $5,000 total. So yes, definitely getting it done here. But that's my next big expense. But just to let you know that I'm not complaining. On the contrary, I feel gratitude towards Brazil, because here in Brazil, all of these things are very, very affordable, whereas in the United States they would be completely unattainable for me and any low-income senior. Ozempic, for example, the dose that I take, 1 milligram, is almost $1,000 a month up in the United States. Here it's $200, equivalent of $200 a month. And besides Ozempic, I take 5 other medications, blood pressure, etc. And you know, that comes to about $50, $60 a month total for all 5 of them. Because these drugs, like example, I take generic Xarelto, a very, very popular, I believe, is it a blood pressure, blood thinner? It's very expensive in the United States, and there's no generic alternative in the United States, because you know the U.S. Medical and pharmaceutical industries and systems are, well, I'll say messed up, for profit. Whereas here in Brazil, they have a public healthcare system, and the Brazilian government is very aggressive about turning expensive drugs like Xarelto into generics here, whether the pharmaceutical company likes it or not. Good for you, Brazil, and thank you, Brazil. So my meds are much more accessible here in Brazil. Dental work is much more affordable here. You know how expensive dental work is now in the United States. Housing, of course, is much more accessible. Everything's more accessible. Not just here in Brazil, but in so many other countries outside of the United States, which is why I always encourage people, whether you're old or young, to look for alternatives to living in the United States, because under our current administration, things are only getting worse. Anyway, enough about that. Now, it feels great to be outside right now. It's about, I think, 2:30 in the afternoon. A very nice, gentle breeze off the ocean. It's overcast, so the hot sun is not beating down on me. It's perfect. Perfect time for a long walk. From the United States is always alarming and depressing. You know, it looks like Trump is thinking of actually invading Venezuela here in South America. Not even South America is safe. Now, I am no fan of Venezuela, the Venezuelan government regime. I've been to Venezuela once. It was back in '96, before the, is it called the Boliviano Revolution, begun by Chavez. I was there in '76. The country was starting to show signs of a serious decline. There was a major devaluation while I was there, but I'm glad I went then in '96, because it wouldn't be easy or even possible to go there right now. But the idea of the United States invading Venezuela horrifies me. You know, the United States has a terrible history in Latin America for supporting, propping up right-wing dictatorships and invading Venezuela. As awful as the Venezuelan government and system is, would just be a continuation of that. The purpose, of course, would be to draw America's attention away from the Epstein files and Trump's other crimes, misdemeanors, lies, contempt, ineptness, incipient senility, etc. I mean, doesn't the United States always go to war whenever it wants to draw attention away from domestic issues? Tragic. Another little piece of news from the United States: a U.S. senator, Republican of course, has just introduced a bill that would end dual citizenship for Americans. If this bill were to pass, Americans, U.S. citizens could no longer, whether you're native-born or foreign-born, a naturalized U.S. citizen, or a native-born U.S. citizen, could not have dual citizenships, could not have two passports, would have to either renounce their citizenship in a foreign country or renounce their U.S. citizenship. Simply shocking. Just shocking. The ability to have dual citizenship has been a feature of the United States since its founding. It is in no way a threat to the United States, and this is just another example of the Trump regime and the Republican Party tightening the noose around the neck of Americans and reducing our freedoms. Republicans love to crow about America's freedoms, but they're doing everything they can to take them away. As I've mentioned numerous times here before, I'm planning to apply for Brazilian citizenship in March, which would mean I would be a dual citizen. I would be a citizen of the United States and a citizen of Brazil, and have an American and Brazilian passport. But I would not do it if my U.S. citizenship were at risk. I have no intention of renouncing my U.S. citizenship. So while I think it's probably unlikely that that bill will pass, because it goes against So many things. I don't think even a lot of Republicans would support that ridiculous idea, but still, it would put a major damper on my idea of becoming a dual citizen myself. Notice even though it's overcast and a bit windy, it's still quite warm, so lots of people on the beach. It's a Saturday. Brazil is very much beach culture. Most of the population of Brazil lives within 20 or 30 miles of the coast. So it has to be pretty nasty outside for the beach to be empty. Anyway, just wanted to share a bit of my weekend walk with you. Thanks for joining me as always. I'm going to sign off now, keep this one short. And as always, before I end, I just want to take a look here at one of my favorite small beaches here in Salvador, in the Rio Vermelho neighborhood. This is called the Praia de Paciencia. It's a charming little beach, and above the hill up there is the house of the famous Brazilian author Jorge Amado, who wrote many books about Bahia. You might be familiar with the film Dona Flora and Her Two Husbands. So just wanted to show you this beach that I pass every time I come into Rio Vermelho. And there's beach volleyball happening here. So happy and proud to live here. Salvador, Afro capital, Black power. Love it. Beijo, ciao.